you guys? This is Warframe Guy Plays, and today on the Snapshot, we're jumping into one hell of a threesome when we take a look at my favorite builds from Mirage Prime. Now, I know what you're gonna say, you're about to drag me for this. I know this is not Mirage Prime, but legitimately, I've been spending the last few weeks kind of playtesting some builds that I'm gonna carry over from Mirage onto Mirage Prime whenever the Prime Access is released. So, a part of me is like, okay, let's see what we got going on here. Let's construct a couple different ways to play here, because Mirage does have a few different optimizations that I'd like to explore. So what I'm actually going to go ahead and do is show you the 3 different builds that I personally use. We'll jump into some gameplay. We'll probably toss that up in the background somewhere. But to be completely honest with you, I've been having a lot of fun in several different ways. So let's go ahead and just jump into the first build. So as you can see here, this is kind of like my all-purpose build. There's nothing ridiculously crazy about it. The one thing that you will notice, and this is something just that I've picked up during gameplay, is the fact that I'm actually not running fleeting expertise on her. And that's actually for a couple different reasons. Number one, it saves us a little bit of duration. And for Mirage, I do feel like she's a duration heavy frame. She has Hall of Mirrors, she's got Eclipse, she's also got, Prism, and all of those rely on duration a lot to kind of like, you know, factor in their energy costs, and especially some of the blind costs on Prism, and just being able to keep up Eclipse and Hall of Mirrors for a long period of time is just like, oh, thank God, I don't have to think about it too much. As you can see here, I am running a Prime Flow, however, because you tend to pick up a lot of stuff, and because of the fact that I am using Arcane Energize on her, that tends to work fairly well. Also, if you're going to be using Xeneric with this, it's also a great way to kind of keep and stockpile a bunch of energy. I don't necessarily feel like she's an energy-intensive frame, especially if you put a little duration on her, you'll have everything last for a long enough period of time to get everything done. I'm actually a big fan of this build. This is just one of those ones where you don't really have to think too hard as to what you're actually going to be doing with it. It just basically gets the job done. No frills attached, no crazy things. This is, okay, well, I have a build that's coming up, and we'll jump into it in a sec. This is not my have you tried it with Mirage Prime build. This is just the, you know, she's kind of good at everything, and you can kind of adapt her to any specific situation. Now, this next build is my Hall of Malevolence build, which is also referred to as my have you tried this with Mirage build. Yes, I have tried it with Mirage. Unfortunately, not of my own volition, but because sometimes I'm forced to. Regardless, as you can see here, this one forsakes a shit ton of range for more duration and a bunch of power strength. Now, for those of you guys who don't know how Hall of Malevolence works, is basically it takes up your doppelgangers and it gives them a bit of a buff for every enemy that you've killed. 5%, I think it's up to 50%, which is the cap of it. Now, of course, because of the fact that you want to keep that bonus for as long as possible, you want to focus on duration, and I really like this build. This is kind of like what I like to go through, but I'm very particular on what I use it with. I like a lot of builds that have things that overlap. So the lens is fucking fantastic with this, the Ignis is fantastic with this, the static core, the pox, all of those things are absolutely fabulous. The only thing that I do need to kind of make note of is if you're using Naramond for the additional melee combo counter, one of the things that I highly suggest is making sure that you use a weapon with a lot of range. So think along the lines of Atarax, think along the lines of polearms that use primed reach, and that's mainly because of the fact that your doppelgangers are going to be doing so much damage, and basically what ends up happening is you end up killing many enemies with your doppelgangers before you actually get to the enemies themselves, which means that you're not increasing your combo counter. So if you've got something with a little bit of reach, you'll have some overlap with your doppelgangers, then boom, you're all good. So that's my little tip for melee when it comes to the Hall of Malevolence build. But like I was saying, lots of power strength, and the reason why I have power strength on this is because this build doesn't just synergize with Hall of Malevolence, but it goes really well with Eclipse too, so that you have, you know, your big power boost or your big defensive boost for a long period of time. There is a little bit of an argument when it comes to Hall of Malevolence. Some people say toss Hall of Malevolence and just put in something like Transient Fortitude or Blind Rage itself. Number one, I'm not going to touch Blind Rage. It tends to make builds worse than it helps the build, to be completely honest with you. I mean, there are some places where you can like force it in, like you can fist it in, but it's not a pleasant experience, just like this thing. Now you could argue that, you know, you could toss out Hall of Malevolence and you could put in Transient Fortitude. If you feel like doing that, you can feel free, but that's going to be more of an Eclipse build than anything, and it hurts the efficiency on this build, and the efficiency is already pretty low at 130, and yes, I consider 130 efficiency kind of low because of the fact that this does not actually have a flow on it, or a prime flow or anything like that, but because of the fact that you're running with such a long duration and you're just trying to keep up buffs, you should be good. Okay, so this last build is legitimately my for fun build, but I'm gonna be honest with you, I'm kind of falling more and more in love with it the more I use it, and I am actually kind of foregoing lots of the other builds just for this one, and this is actually an Explosive Ledger Main build. I know, when Explosive Ledger Main came out, I was like, this is utter crap. This is going to be the shittiest ever. But because of sleight of hand, I decided I would go ahead and try it out again, and let's see how it actually works. And I actually really love this build for kind of like farm missions, kind of like if you're trying to camp out specific areas. So let's say you're doing an interception, defense, or a survival. If you're doing a survival camp, it's always fantastic for that. Anything like that, and it's amazing because what tends to happen is you get a lot of enemies in the same areas, and what you can do is, you know, you kill them at choke points, whatever, any of these extra ammo boxes kind of fall out, and the ammo that, you know, you don't use, because a lot of the times you're usually focusing on either melee or you're focusing on, you know, primary or secondary, you don't, at least for me, I don't swap around that much, so all of the unused ammo kind of sits on the ground. And from my personal experience, I haven't seen any kind of info on this anywhere, but it doesn't seem like any of the explosives created with Explosive Ledger Main goes away. I don't know if maybe that's a visual bug or something, but legitimately, I just find that they stay there for a long period of time. The only thing that I will highly suggest, because again, we are only running with 130 efficiency on this one, we do have a prime flow. Of course, I'm combining this with my Arcane Energize. You can combine this with Zeneric if you want to kind of stockpile that. But the one thing you need to pay attention to is get your pickups. Make sure you grab your energy orbs, you grab your health orbs, you grab any ammo that you need, and then go ahead and use Sleight of Hand. Now, I'm saying this because of the fact that Explosive Ledger Main will basically, or actually just Sleight of Hand in general, it's not just Explosive Ledger Main, will basically convert everything into traps for the enemies. And that isn't always handy when you just convert things into traps and you don't pay attention to the fact that you need to do energy pickups. So make sure you get your energy pickups, then use your Sleight of Hand. Now, the reason that I really fell in love with this is because I started playing around with Sleight of Hand a lot and all of the explosive gem things that they've got going on. Love those explosive gem things. Basically what happens with the new Sleight of Hand variation is you can set these gems down in different areas, so you can put them in choke points, you can put them in any area that enemies are going to travel in. Combine that with your doppelgangers and they set down gems too, and basically what happens is you have all of the fucking CC that you need. Listen, you can charge an enemy, cast Sleight of Hand midair, that thing will blind the enemies, and boom, there you go. I actually haven't even talked about the build. Number one, this thing's got a good amount of duration and it's got a shit ton of range, and the reason that we do that is because this is a CC build. So Explosive Ledger Main puts out all of these mines, which tend to slow down enemies or set enemies on fire, and then they're all like CC'd and shit, and they're like, oh, I don't know what's going on with my life. And then you've also got the Prism, which is fantastic because it's got a massive blinding area, and it's got a good amount of duration on it too, because we've got some duration in this build. So basically what happens is you're blinding enemies, you're setting them on fire, you're cold procking them, you're leaving these mines for them where they either get a blast proc or they get a blind proc. It's just a shit ton of fun. I highly suggest you try this one out. This one has quickly become my favorite go-to build. I know I have that general purpose build. The general purpose build I keep around just in case, but this is definitely something that I've had a lot of fun of, especially when it comes down to camping areas and all of that hullabaloo. So that about does it for the builds that I'm going to be transferring over to Mirage Prime. Let me know if you guys are as hyped about Mirage Prime as I am, or if maybe not hyped about Mirage Prime, maybe hyped over that goddamn Mithra skin that is about to come out on Tanogen, because legitimately that one is fucking gorgeous as well. Let me know. all of your feels in the description box below. Let me know if you've used Explosive Ledger Main and are as absolutely in love with it as I am currently, because let me tell you right now, I wasn't playing around with it before, and now I'm like, I'm kind of about that life. And you know what? I'm gonna let you guys know too. If you guys have not played around, not just necessarily with Mirage, but play around with some of the augments. I know that there are so many of us that are all focused on min-maxing and kind of like optimizing everything. I was not gonna optimize for Explosive Ledger Main. It was not in my vocabulary. It was not something that I was gonna try out myself. But once I did try it out, I was like, I'm kind of enjoying this though. So go ahead and give that a chance, and let me know if there are any other augments out there that you feel are super underused that people should have some fun with, because you know what, that's what this game is about, right? It's not just about optimization, but it's also about enjoying yourself. So leave that all in the comments below, and as always, love somebody, hurt nobody, and touch your body. I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye.